Hello and welcome to Moneycontrol.com. This is K. Srinivas Rao, and my guests today are two gentlemen catching all the action at the IPL auction in Kochi live. Say hello to Cricket Next correspondent Sahil Malhotra and veteran cricket journalist Mr. Vimal Kumar. Welcome, guys. If
Hi,
if this
thanks,
was
Srini.
if this was if this was Test match Eve, I would have asked you all by asking I would have started this by asking how's the weather out there. But then this is not. We are short on time, and let's clearly get to the point right away. Yep. So I'll start with Sahil because from a reporter's perspective, what is the mood like in Kochi? First day of the Test match, kind of a question.
I think it's
Can I have
buzzing
the
right
franchise
now.
owner starting?
We have
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, it's buzzing right now. We have had plenty of footfall ever since we have stepped in at the Grand Hyatt Hotel in Kochi, where all the action is taking place. The team owners are here. We have seen plenty of people from the coaching staff. The scouts are in. So everything is in readiness. The management crews are getting the studio things in place for the big auction day. The auction room is being set up. A lot of familiar faces are around. Some former cricketers are around. So I think the mood is right up there, and everything is buzzing. There's a good buzz to it.
Did you catch any local heroes there?
Not any local heroes, but yes, one international star was there. S.
Exactly.
Srishant just walked in. The toast of the nation for many years, and someone who has kind of set the IPL stage on fire when he was playing for the Rajasthan Royals. So he was just spotted in the lobby a couple of minutes back, looking as fit as ever, as sharp as ever, and you can probably mistake him for a Bollywood actor walking in.
Really? Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah,
But
he
my
was
heart,
he was he
like,
was,
you know, there's a stab in my heart each time when I think or talk about Srisan, but I'll keep that for another
yeah
day. We have
yeah.
Vimal here. Vimal has seen, this is not the first auction for him. He's seen quite a bit. And I was, Vimal, actually watching the mock auctions on Geo Cinema, and they've done it beautifully. I think our viewers should actually go on the Geo Cinema app and catch these mock auctions live. Vimal, the what I got from those mock auctions were that big ticket all rounders are going to make a lot of noise. We have Ben Stokes, we have Cameron Green, we have Sam Curran, among others, and I think these are the names that everybody's talking about. What is the trend that you're catching?
I think, Srini, you are absolutely right because if you look at, I just spoke to a couple of franchisee owners and CEO, and I just said that it's a big day. They said not big day, just few hours, maybe it's just half an hour. The second slot, especially the all rounder slot, everyone is wishing to fill that slot, and I think people have been talking about Ben Stokes have been the number one all rounder across the format for a long time. But I think this auction will be all about who catches Sam Curran. Sam Curran for England, we were in Australia and he showed to the entire world what an all-rounder like him, an attacking all-rounder with bat, with ball, and obviously he's a great fielder as well. So I think especially two teams they will target and they have the best advantage in terms of purse. Maybe Punjab and Hyderabad. They think maybe because everyone, even CSK would like to have Sam Curran because he has played for them in the past. But I don't think they have the purse that they can go. Maybe once Sam Curran is out from the action, maybe they may target Jason Holder.
Of course. I'll come back to the purses because there's a lot to talk about the money that is left with the teams, and that'll give us eventually a picture of who's gunning for what. But before that, let me go back to Sahil. Sahil, I just the way we talk about big tickets, I'm more interested in us understanding what is the India story right now. Who are the lesser known Indian domestic players to look at in this auction? Because that's where I think the interest lies right now.
I think, as you rightly said, the interest and the core of every successful IPL team lies how the Indian domestic talent turns up on the day. Because, just look at the team sheet and seven of them would be Indians. So you need to have those bases checked, and you can't really afford to slip on that front. No matter how much star power you have in your ranks, if your Indian piece is out of the picture, then the team paints a very sorry figure when they take field. So the Indian players are very important, and right now with the impact rule coming into picture and expected to kind of rotate around the Indian talent only, I think Indian specialists will be up for grabs. So may it be power hitters lower down the order because the big boys play at top of the order and in the middle overs. So it will be lower down the order, someone like a Dinesh Bana from Haryana. Then we have also been hearing good things about Sheikh Rashid, whose name apparently was missed out from the auctions last time around. Then a seamer from UP, Shivam Mavi, he has been doing the job for a lot of years in the domestic circuit, has been in and out because of injury niggles. But this season, especially, he has played the complete season for Uttar Pradesh. Syed Mushtaq Ali Trophy, Vijay Zare Trophy, made immediate impact in the first round of the Ranji Trophy. So I think he should keep plenty of franchises interested. Then there's another spinner, Shivang Vashisht from Delhi, who has been part of the Mumbai Indians setup for quite a few time now. He has been traveling with them as a net bowler, has been around. They know quite a few things about him. And Mumbai are definitely looking at a spinner. So Shivang Vashisht definitely fits the bill for them at a cheap price. You probably expect him to go at the base price because not many would go after him, because Mumbai have kept him, with them for about 4 years
Right.
now. He has been with the team for 4 years. So I think that's the beauty of how Mumbai Indians operates. They keep the
Right.
players who
Right.
they have shortlisted with them, so that others can't really have an eye on them. So these are 3-4 players who are trying
Right.
to make the auction pool very interesting. But the Indian players, in particular, the specialists, because the all rounders are the big boys, overseas talents. Specialists, impact rules definitely make Indian players to watch out for in the auctions tomorrow.
So I'm going to come back on the impact player point. Now that's a very important subject to
Yeah,
discuss in this auction. Okay, but
yeah.
before that, I'm going to go back to Vimal. Vimal, if you look at the mega auctions that happened, okay, and ironically, it's not even a full year actually since the mega auctions happened. So in the mega auctions, what we were expecting in the run up to the auctions were how franchisees with all the money to spend would go after big ticket names. Okay, and what we saw actually at the auction was exactly the opposite, where the cricket incorporation or cricket corporate, the way I'd like to call it these days, they went after young India stars. Now, and that was a sudden change in a long trend that we had seen, moving away from the whole superstar culture and concentrating on the last mile domestic talent that we have. So Indian domestic players versus big ticket superstar talent. Okay, do you see this kind of a debate still out there, and do you see this kind of a chatter out there, or the matter is settled and it is in favor of any particular thing?
Different normally what we saw in the big auction, because everyone, if you look at the every team has a different requirements. Like somebody who wants some change, like if you look at CSK, they are in desperate need for a great all-rounder, because obviously now Bravo is the coach of the team, and he had best season last year as a death over specialist. They don't have someone replacement for Deepak Chahar, who is injury prone, but they don't have the budget. Similarly, Hyderabad, if you look at, they have a lot of budget, they have the players, but do they have the team which can win the IPL? So is this the right time? We have seen with the Punjab team that every time they go high in the auction, but the result hasn't been different. So I think at least in this auction, I think more than Indian players, it's about the overseas all rounder, whether it's Sam Curran, whether it's Ben Stokes, even someone like Sikandar Raja. People have been talking about, like someone a team like RCB, which if you look at, they have a proper playing 11, a settled playing 11, but they would like to have a replacement for someone like Glenn Maxwell, who can bowl 4 overs of a spin, and obviously more than a decent bat. Sikandar Raza has a great outing, especially against the Indian team when they toured in July in Zimbabwe. So I think most of the chatter and strategy, what I gather, is specifically on the overseas players, overseas all rounders. More than yes, one Indian name which is featuring among all the sites is Mayank Agarwal, because Mayank Agarwal, everyone wants to get him, because he is number three. A lot of team they want a solid number three Indian batter with experience, and Mayank can play both roles. He can be your consolidator, he can be your aggressor. So I think among the Indian names, one name which I think will be in high demand will be Mayank Agarwal.
Right. So the picture that I'm getting to look at right now is demand versus supply. Clearly, right? What is the demand, and accordingly we look at the supply. But then demand we'll come to know only when tomorrow the franchisees walk into the auction room, because they are the ones who going to like kind of provide all the answers to what kind of demand is in place. What we can talk about right now is what is the supply in place, and that takes me to Sahil's wonderful story on cricketx.com, which he did just recently. And I think those who have not read it should actually go to the cricketnext.com website, and visit the story on the talent that is available from one state alone, Jammu and Kashmir. So what Sahil explained was the demographics that one state has presented in terms of 21 cricketers coming from that region alone. Sahil, I really want you to
Yeah,
understand. You track this so well. I really want to understand from you,
yeah,
what is the scene, man? Like 2 years ago, probably were we looking at any name, and suddenly we look like every second guy is from Jammu and Kashmir, and obviously which is a wonderful thing. And what is this talent
yeah.
like?
So I think if you just expand it to, if you expand the discussion to just 5 years back, there was a Parvez Rasool who was there. That was the only connection which people, in the bigger cities had with JNK about players coming up from JNK. Parvez Rasool was the only name. Then came someone like Abdul Samad. Abdul Samad was part of the SRH camp. He was known for hitting big sixes. They wanted a net bowler because the COVID bubble things came into place. So every team was carrying a jumbo squad for the net bowler. So then came Umran Malik. And Umran Malik did Umran Malik things. And suddenly, it was just a sudden thing that JNK was back on the cricketing map. Not that they left, they were still participating in the domestic tournaments and stuff. But then this was the moment where Umran Malik clearly arrived, took the world by storm by setting the speed guns on fire. The people and scouts were then looking at JNK at a region where you could unearth more fast bowling talent. Then the kind of work which Irfan Pathan has did over the years with them, having the talent camps and stuff. And then very recently, a team like Delhi Capitals, they went there, had a week-long camp, shortlisted players, got them for the main trials in Delhi, which was held in November before the auctions. So I think there was more of a method to the madness before the auctions then, and that is why we see a list of 21 because those players who were there playing on matting wickets in very extreme conditions, they had proper gear, proper equipment, proper people to look at them. And when you look at talent, raw talent, it excites everyone. And that is
Right.
why multiple players who featured in the 21 member list have attended trials for teams like Mumbai Indians, Gujarat Titans. Some have been part of franchises like KXIP and Punjab Kings and Royal Challengers in Bangalore in the past as net bowlers. And right now, with Gujarat gunning for a seamer and Mumbai too looking for replacements for Bumrah and Archer, you might as well see some uncapped bowlers, filling in the sheets.
I can listen to Sahil Malhotra all day when he talks about the way he keeps himself updated. I just love it. Which again, yes, yeah, Vimal, you're trying to make a
I
point. Yeah.
just wanted to add a little bit what Sahil has been saying, and I have observed because I went to Srinagar a couple of years back when Irfan Pathan was there, and I could see. I did a 1.5 hour documentary on for Network 18 itself. It is there. So the title of the story was the अब बंदूक नहीं बल्ला बोलेगा, ठीक है ना. And the story beautifully captured the story of the aspiration of Jammu Kashmir cricketers. And one thing I noticed, and I can find parallels with the, like what happens with the Pakistani cricket. Despite no infrastructure, they know this is something. Cricket is the vehicle for them to come up to the ladder in the social strip. That is something for Jammu Kashmiri cricket, especially with the IPL. They can quickly become a like a India figure. They very few have the Indian figure. So one thing is that, and the other thing I can find parallel why so many Kashmir cricketers are coming. There was a saying in Bihar in our formative years, why Bihar used to produce so many IAS and administrator despite the education system not best there. So there was a
Right.
saying, जहाँ कोई उद्योग नहीं वहाँ पढ़ाई उद्योग. So similarly, जहाँ बहुत सारे problems, if there are so many problems, sports is just like your good distractions for youth. So I think we need to give credit to the Indian government as well. The way the sports infrastructure has been built, the players have been integrated, they have been like acceptance is a known Jammu Kashmir player playing in Ranji Trophy, playing with the big teams, Jammu Kashmir beating Mumbai. You have been witness to that kind of a story. So I
Right.
think these things have also played its parts in Jammu Kashmir producing so many players for the IPL as well.
I think you made a brilliant point there, and talent coming out of distress. And I think yes, Vimal, you've just given me the idea for my next show. आप तैयार रहेगा? I'm going to call you again because we will need to discuss this in absolute detail. But this is an auction, and we have a lot of other things to discuss. Vimal, I'll come back to. I'll stay with you on this. Kyron Pollard, Mumbai Indians. How do you even fill those shoes? I'll say present anybody out there in the auction list and give them double the purse And how do you find a replacement for Karen Pollard? I mean, these are very, very big shoes to fill, right?
Not only Kyron Pollard in just this Mumbai Indians team, anywhere you just give a T20 side and Kyron Pollard is just simply irreplaceable like MS Dhoni. His stature in T20 format is nothing short of MS Dhoni's stature in this format. So it will be hard, but at the same time, as life goes on, people move, and thankfully Pollard is part of Mumbai Indians as well in a different. So who else better than Pollard to himself to identify the successor for his own big shoes, literally.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, I was actually half a mind that will we see Pollard, sitting in the auction room tomorrow? Because as Vimal said, who better to find another Pollard if not Pollard himself? Which also reminds me, Sahil, the other cricketer is another cricketer that a franchise is going to like try will cannot really replace him is Dwayne Bravo at Chennai Super Kings. Now that is another big space that's been left vacant by the exit, right? And well, Chennai Super Kings
I think,
already had a lot of work to do. Now with Dwayne Bravo going out, they have all the
yeah,
more work to do. And plus, this being the kind of season where we're going to look at MS Dhoni and what he does going forward from here is again kind of going to add to all the
yeah,
pressures, right? The pressures building up on the Chennai
I,
Super Kings camp is seems to be second to none.
yeah. I think you very rightly mentioned, what Dwayne Bravo used to bring to the table, we'll only realize when he's not there this season. So what he did bring to the table was the way Dhoni used to operate the bowlers. So he had the luxury of, just pumping in the younger seamers, Simarjeet Mukesh Chaudhary first up in the first 10 overs, because he had someone like a Dwayne Bravo to fall back on in the last 10 overs of the innings and rotate the spinners along with him. You had a Jaddu who could effectively bowl the overs in the middle over stage, but he could get rid of the seamers who were inexperienced very early on because he had a Bravo to bank upon. But now with Bravo out of the picture and the seamers kind of painting a very inexperienced look because not many have played a lot of cricket. So right now they are in a desperate need of a seamer who can bowl in the death overs, and it kind of will definitely put their strategies to test. And with the matches now most likely moving to the home and away format and chip off conditioning suiting the way Dhoni wants to operate with the spinners, especially the left arm spinners. I expect a Santana to play a very important role this season because if he's not a seamer, but then he can do the job for you both in the power play overs and in the back end of the innings. Having said that, to replace Bravo, you might not need an all rounder, fitting the abilities and the skill set which he brought to the table. They can definitely work around that and probably have a specialist seamer who can do the job because, again, with the impact player rule coming in, no franchise should actually lose sleep over not having all rounders because if you're smart enough on the day, you can actually cover up for that.
True, true. Oh, by the way, I was just looking at the we were talking about purses early on in this conversation, and I was looking at
Yeah,
some of the teams and the purses that they've been left with. KKR left with too less money
yeah,
worries me as much as Punjab being left with too much money. Even that seems to be a worry for me because they have so much money that I don't know, probably they'll miscalculate. And on the other hand, KKR have absolutely no money left. Along with RCB, I think they're the only two franchises with figures in single digits, right? I mean, yeah, Royal Challengers are 8.75 crore, and I think KKR is somewhere around 7 crore. So, and by the way, KKR has too many slots to fill, Vimal. Too many slots and too less money. And with Pat Cummins leaving, not being there, I wonder how KKR is going to make up for the entire team.
I think, Srini, you have just hit the nail on the head. And I
Vimal,
saw
do we have
Venki
you there?
Mysore when he entered and we met him. Usually very chirpy, very enthusiastic. I could sense, that the same kind of enthusiasm as far as body language goes. I couldn't see that. And you can understand that it's not easy being, CEO of the franchisee. You have very little purse. They have to do the maximum shopping and they have the least budget. It's not ideal in any walks of life. We all want to shop, and if you don't have money in the purse, it creates a lot of problem. And especially I think KKR, for them, they need a very good quality batsman who is good player of pace bowling. Because if you look at the one problem with whether it's Shreyas Iyer or anyone else, if you look at a lot of players, their batsmen are susceptible against quality hostile pace bowling. So that is something they want to have some quality player, maybe like someone like Mayank Agarwal, who can give solidarity. He has a good game, but do they have the budget? I think they will have to be, they have to be choose from, if I can say that, leftovers. Because they because they don't have the enough purse, they can go all out any player they want to be.
Right, right, right. So this auction is going to be about serious budgeting for some of the franchise, and that is where I want to
Srini,
end this show.
Srini,
Yeah. Yes.
just quickly, I wanted to add a point to what Vimal was talking and what you had mentioned about KKR. I think they are in a very difficult position, but they are the only side in the circuit right now who are adept enough to manage that situation because they have two domestic veterans in the ranks. Not to discount the role, Abhishek Nair plays with the domestic scouting, and now you have someone like a Chandrakant Pandit. So they need cheap buys, they need smart buys, they need effective buys, and you have those two people who have been following the circuit aggressively for donkey years now. So I think they have the skill set to kind of pull this off, but then it will take some doing tomorrow.
Of course, cricket's most versatile Pandit happens to be with the Knight Riders. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so you know what? So when we talk about budgets, and I like to end the show with this particular point that which again is the most important point. But so I thought, I'd rather take this at the last this thing. Sahil, you first. Tell me, what does the whole demand or this whole trend about the impact player tell you?
So just going by the regulations which were put in place for the Syed Mushtaq Ali Trophy, and having extensively covered the tournament where the impact player was introduced for the first time, I think the beauty which impact player brings to the table right now is kind of diminishes the whole madness regarding having all rounders in their team. So there was a time when teams would go after all rounders. Punjab Kings at one point of time had 3-4 all rounders that their all rounders are actually kind of outnumbering the specialists in the ranks. And now with the evening dew which sets in India, during the IPL game where toss more or less decides the outcome of the game, having an impact player in the ranks can probably help the team management take a call during the game. We have already done a lot of explainers on that for Cricket Next, how the rule works. So when the impact player comes into play, you can kind of neutralize the role due plays and neutralize the role toss plays. So once those two big things are out of the picture, you might not as well, lose sleep over not having big all rounders. So even if you don't have a Sam Curran, but if, say, for example, you have a Mayank Agarwal with the bat, and say, just hypothetically, and say you have a Jasprit Bumrah with the ball, if you're smart enough, you can use the two of them who are specialists effectively so that you don't miss someone like a Sam Curran in the middle order. So it's just about being smart, and a lot of strategies and tactics would be put in place when this rule kind of is being introduced for
Right,
the first time. It's very different
right.
from the way the BBL thing works, but I think with the IPL, the specialists will be in demand. That's my personal hunch over it.
Specialists will be in demand, right? And that's where I want to end this with a quick one from Vimal on the same subject. Of course, Sahil has touched upon this, but I like to emphasize this one point further. Is this the beginning of the of the diminishing value of an all-rounder? Is this where we are beginning to think that probably the trend next might be that the all-rounder, after all, may not be so much in demand, especially in this format, with a rule like this, with a rule like the impact player coming in place? A quick one, please.
I think that that's a fair point, Srini. But at the same time, come what may, and this has been from the time cricket is being played. All rounder will always bring different kind of value, and especially someone like Sam Curran. I think yes, the entire point what Sahil has made is perfectly all right. But I think Sam Curran is an exceptional talent, and he has shown in the IPL that what he can do. He's a match winner. So I think if one player, maybe the specialist might dominate the proceedings, but if one player who is going to emerge as the the biggest winner, it has to be Sam Curran. I have no doubt about that from this auction at least.
Right, right, right. All right. I think that's where we need to probably bring this to an end here. We're already past the kind of time that we had put in place. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for your time. Hope you'll have a wonderful action while y'all catch it live there from Kochi. I look forward to the action on Geo Cinema. Thank you. Thank you so much.